Hello everyone, you are watching Trading Algorithms. My name is Vlad. We are developing a solution for traders and trading here. Today we will talk about the trend line indicator. We recently made it in order to check how profitable breakout signals can be. These are the first of a series of indicators that we will make based on your ideas or publicly voiced by one of the analysts. Therefore, support this video with a like, comment, share it and send ideas for the following indicators to the Telegram bot or just under the video in the comments. Let's start with the appearance. To download the indicator, you need to write to us in the Telegram bot to grant access, then upload the indicator to the platform and it will appear in the list of indicators at the bottom. We upload it to the chart. In the settings, we activate the display of trend lines and signals at breakouts. You can see the lines behind the extremes. They show you which extremes the trend lines were built on. The trend line will be built until the confirmed moment of its breakdown. This moment will be highlighted by an arrow. Also, each new extreme with a label participates in the construction of a new trend line. In the settings at the beginning there is a group of the deal tester. We will return to it at the end of the video and test the effectiveness of this strategy. Next comes the period that is responsible for the construction of extremes. The longer the period, the fewer extremes will participate in the construction of trend lines. But such trend lines can be called more fundamental and reliable. The shorter the period, the more local extremes. This will suit you for finding an entry point with a small stop. The following setting adjusts the offset of the first from the second extreme in ticks. If this distance is less than the one set in the settings, then the trend line will not be built on these extremes. The next parameter is the number of ticks needed to confirm the breakdown of the trend line. The breakdown consists of two conditions. The first condition is the closing of the breakdown candle behind the trend line. The second condition is the achievement of a given number of ticks at the breakdown. If you have ideas for improving this indicator, write in the comments or in the chat bot and we will add an extension. And also if you like the indicator, then write to the chat bot that you would like a robot. The indicator will be available to subscribers for free. To create a robot, I will organize a collection of folding, where everyone will be able to fold equally and help our programmer buy a new MacBook for even more efficient work. So, this indicator looks for breakouts, but does not look for rebounds from trend lines. If this function is needed, then write about it in the comments. The indicator also showed all the dynamism of the construction of trend lines. When you look at the history, you will find trend lines that have worked beautifully. But there are quite a lot of trend lines being built in real time. Another feature is that very rarely trend lines can have multiple touches. From personal experience, it seemed to me that the life of the trend line is longer, but if you follow strict rules and conditions when building, then we see that the situation is slightly different from manual construction on history. Another feature of the indicator is the construction of extremes. Since the period is involved in the settings, several candles are needed to confirm the extreme. This means that in real time, the confirmed extreme will appear a few candles later. It depends on the size of the period. That's all about the features of the indicator. Then you will be able to study the indicator on the charts yourself and play with the settings. And we are moving on to testing the results of transactions. Firstly, the results that we will get are approximate. Our tester does not take into account real-time dynamics, but in general we will be able to understand whether there are profitable C stages of settings. We will do this by brute force. I think we need at least 100 deals to get a more or less adequate picture. Therefore, we will increase the history until we get the right number of transactions. In the tester settings, you can increase the background of the statistics window. The statistics window has all the necessary information for evaluation. I set a commission of $13 for trading market orders. This is the approximate commission per circle at the moment on Binance Futures. We uploaded 50 days of history and received 160 deals. That's enough for a start. It comes out about 3 deals a day. Since there are 10 ticks on the scale of the chart, the price of 1 tick is equal to $1. 1 tick on the Binance is equal to 10 cents, respectively. 10 ticks is $1. Also in the statistics, you can activate transaction logs and see equity changes. To do this, click on the button in the upper left corner. By equator, we will understand what happened inside this 50-day period. The first thing that catches your eye is the trend lines merge the deposit in flats, but the bursts of profits are in trends. That is, if you have a system that allows you to identify flats at early stages and notice approaching trends, then most likely breakouts of trend lines will bring more profit than losses. But in fully automatic mode, there is a high probability that we will lose more. I forgot to show how the deal lines look like. I will change the color of the trend lines. Now you can see the green and red lines. The green lines are virtual purchases and the red lines are sales. Along the lines, you can explore the graphs in more detail. Let's play with the settings now. Let's think logically. If we have a lot of transactions in the flat that brings losses, then we need to reduce the number of transactions in principle. During the flat periods, the number of unprofitable trades will automatically decrease. The second step that can be done is to increase the indentation of the line breakdown in order to filter out some of the flat signals. In theory, trend signals should not be affected, but most likely they will bring less profit. Although our main problem is a large number of small stop losses, the minimum breakdown we already have is very large. Well, let's try to gradually increase it again and look at the results. As you can see, the magnification does not help. Let's throw it off by 2 and try to check the lower part of these settings. As you can see, closer to 50, the results began to deteriorate significantly, and it turned out that by getting an earlier breakdown, we get an earlier entry point, and this gives us more profit. Moreover, a steady profit on the settings from 10 to 40. Let's look at the equate. As you can see, equity is going in waves again. That is, a filter system is most likely needed here. For example, it can be an indicator of predicted volatility. In the histogram mode, it just shows the upcoming spikes in volatility, which brings profit on this indicator. The good news is that there is a profit, So let's increase the story 3 times and see what happened. As you can see, there is a failure of profit again on a long stretch, and the reason for this is a protracted narrow consolidation, which has increased a very large loss. Increasing the breakdown does not help us, so we will try to increase the period in order to reduce the number of extremes and signals, and hence transactions. As you can see, the period with values from 7 to 13 showed good results. The profit fluctuated, but overall everything looked good. Let's look at the equity. Equity is constantly and smoothly growing, which is a very good sign. Now let's try to adjust the breakdown value again. The result does not change much. This means that the main pillar of this strategy is the number of extremes. That is, to test the parameters, you need to start with a period, and the rest of the parameters can be adjusted after the period. We also have stop loss and take profit parameters. 100 close is set for the nearest extremum. Let's try to increase it a little and look at the results. We see that the result is slightly improving, but only slightly. You cannot risk and leave a stop low with a minimum for extreme. It turns out that extremes are a fairly reliable place for stop losses when it comes to breaking trend lines. But I will emphasize that this applies only to the selected historical period. Let's now move on to take profit. Anything below 130 ticks, that is, in our case, below $130 did not give a profit in the future. Starting from $2,000 of take profit, we began to approach the first profit results, but as we can see, we were not able to improve them much. This means that the end of transactions occurs very close to the physical reversal of the price. Now it remains to confirm these results in an even larger area. We will upload the previous 150 days, and then another 150 days to look at their result. As you can see on the same settings, the result in the previous period is negative. Let's try to slightly adjust the period and the minimum breakdown. We have aligned the results, now we will check on the history in 450 days, that is, in 5 quarters. Now we have another problem. Volatility has changed quite significantly over the past 5 quarters. In the first part, with high volatility and no trend movement, the signal sank very much. The trend movement leads to profits again, and so the cycles repeat. So, let's summarize. To be honest, I was skeptical about trend lines, as well as about all classical technical analysis of the beginning of the last century. My fears were confirmed in the fact that trend lines are not the grail. We also learned that in times of flat, the indicator drains the deposit. In times of trend movements, the indicator definitely brings profit. And I also noticed that adjusting the settings depending on the current volatility can partially solve the problem of losses. Therefore, I recommend testing it in conjunction with the channel volatility indicator in histogram mode. I consider it in weekly market reviews. They can be found on the YouTube channel or in Telegram channels. I recommend testing the indicator on the range bars. Since there are breakouts and signals will be significantly different, which may change the picture. Later I will check the statistics myself on Bitcoin and send screenshots to the Telegram channel. So subscribe, write comments, share this video. Thank you for ISA and see you in the following videos.